everyone, it is Jazz here, and today I'm going to be doing a book tag because sometimes you get behind in your filming schedule and you need to do a book tag. This tag, however, is a little bit different. It's a tag that does not require me to hold up any books, which is pretty different for a book tag, and it's all about the books that you finished, how you go through the ritual of finishing your books, and it's called the Finish the Book tag, aptly. Now, I couldn't find the original tag video. I don't think it exists anymore. If I do find anything, I will link you to that. If I don't, I will just link you to another booktuber that made a really cool video that I watched and liked of this tag, and somebody will be shared. Let's just jump into these tag questions. Number 1, do you keep a list of the books you have read? And the answer to this is yes and no. Now, if you're talking about just a Word doc of every book that I've read or a straight up on paper list of just the titles and authors of books, I don't really do that. I do, however, as some of you know, keep a reading planner, and I have a video where I set up my 2021 reading planner. I will link you to that if you want to check that out. And in my planner, I do have a printable graphic where I color in and write down the books that I've read during the year. And I did a similar thing in my old planner the year before. Number 2, if you record stats, what stats do you record? I don't really record stats at all. It's just not something that I deeply care about. I do like the idea of it. Like, I think that it's really cool that other people like to record the types of authors that they read, genre that they read, and all the different types of things that you can record as stats. And I think that's really fun to watch other people do, but I don't know if it's just laziness or the fact that I don't really care about anything beyond the amount of books that I've completed for the year, but I just don't feel the need to record all that stuff. Number 3, do you give star ratings for books? And if so, what do you rate books out of, and how do you come about that score? So I use the traditional 5-star rating system, in which usually I gauge 5-star as a book that I really love and that I definitely want to reread. Sometimes though, some of those are just up to what I think is just, it's a quality book and it deserves 5 stars. 4 stars are books that I would reread that I really enjoyed, but they had like a couple of qualms that didn't quite hit with me. 3-star books are just okay. Usually I give 3-star books 3 stars if they have a good idea and I feel like the author got across the idea, but the execution wasn't quite the ideal for me. And then 1 and 2 stars are just like the garbage. But 2-star books are usually it was readable garbage, and 1 star is it was painful to read garbage. I do in between scores quite a bit, like a wide range of it, not just 0.5, but you know, I have 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, because I like having that wiggle room. Number 4, do you review books? So I do review books. It took me a while to figure out how I wanted to do them and the way that made reviewing books less stressful, because honestly, reviewing books weirdly stresses me out, but I still want to tell people my thoughts on books, so I still want to do some book reviews. So the way I figured out after much trial and error was to just review books 5 at a time instead of doing wrap-ups, because that didn't really work for me. And then I also tried doing 1 book at a time, and that didn't really work for me. So the 5 books at a time seems to work for me. Sometimes I do more than 5. I'll do 6 or 7, but at least I know like the number of books and how relatively long the review video is going to be, and that gives me a little bit of comfort. Gives me a little bit of comfort. Words are hard. Number 5, where do you put your finished books? Now, if it's a hardcover book or a book that's on my middle grade / children's bookshelf, those aren't really separated by read and unread in any sort of way. So I just pick the unread ones, and when I finish those unread ones, I put them back in the spot they were on the shelf. However, I do have a read and unread paperback sort of system. If it's an unread paperback, it's either on a bench shelf that I have it's basically a bench and it has little cubbies, and I put the unread paperbacks that I kind of want to get to soon on that one. I also have a drawer of mostly unread paperbacks. There's some read in there, but most of them are unread. And those books, when I finish those books, they get moved to a corner shelf that I have when I complete them. Number 6, how do you pick your next book? I feel like at one point I was a mood reader, and now I don't think that I am. I kind of feel like I plan my reading ahead. Now, some of this is just because I do a lot of readathons and you end up picking books for prompts, but I also kind of like the idea lately, or at least a lot in the last couple of months, of being able to pick books that I know are on my shelf that I haven't read yet that I need to get to, and kind of pick them at a specific time. But also I think when you are somebody like me that reads a lot of books at the same time, you don't always feel the need to pick up a new book all the time because you have 2 other books that you're reading or whatever and that you need to finish. And so I think the process also becomes a confused process. So my point is, I don't really have a process. Number 7, do you have any other rituals for when you have finished a book? Do I have a ritual when I finish books? Yes, and it's extensive and it's gonna sound super crazy. So first off, if the book is on my to be read for 2021 or whatever year, I will first of all go to my sheet that has that list on it. And this year I made it with stickers, and they actually have like little rating stickers. And so instead of checking them off this year, I'm actually coloring in the rating for the book. It's not one of those books. I will just go over to the next page, and on that next page it's basically a list of how many books I've completed in the month, and I'll color in a new book to say, hey, I finished another book this month. Then I will flip to the page after that, and that is the page that I already showed you, which has basically the graphic of the books, and I color in the finished book and write the title in. Flip to my weekly planner spread, and on the weekly planner spread, I will check off the book that I completed because I keep a running list of my current reads. And the final component to the ritual is to go back to a page that is basically all the book reviews for the books that I complete. So I fill out the little section there for all the books that I've completed. That was to finish the book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about what I do when I finish books. And that is it for the video. If you want to be tagged, I tag you. If you have any fun things to chat about what you do when you finish books, leave those in the comments below. I love some comments. They really do help out the channel. So if you could leave me a comment, it would actually be really awesome. And that is it for the day, my fabulous people. Thank you for watching. Bye.